Hello and welcome back to part two of last week's episode of Impact Podcast. This is your host, Christian. I'm here with my co host, Amani. And we would like y'all to introduce yourself one more time just in case somebody didn't tune in.
Hello, I'm Jean. Nice to be here.
Adrian, happy to be here.
Just go ahead and if you didn't get to see last week's episode, go back and watch that after this, and then you'll get more of an intro too. With that being said, this last week's episode was talking about what's really going on in the schools, and because a lot of parents or a lot of people don't know, or they're unaware of. This episode is how do we survive this? So the things we're going to build off of what we talked about last week, and like how do we survive these things? But before we get started, I want you to follow us on Impact Podcast Show, Christian Kennedy, and like everything we say. Uh, Turn on post notifications so that you can be notified for any post. And not just post notifications on YouTube, but also on Instagram. That makes a big deal because anytime we post something, you'll be notified, and make sure you leave a like on those posts. So this is an impactful show. We're not talking about things that doesn't matter. We're not just shooting the breeze. We're talking about things that's actually going to impact people's future. So if you want to support something that is actually making an impact, this is no better show than this one. We're literally called Impact Podcast. So if you want to make an impact in your community, share this with somebody. So without further ado, let's get on with the first question. It says, with everything students are facing, what does survival look like for them right now?
Trying to make it, just like everybody else. Like I said on last week's episode, I teach the little, so they just trying to survive lunch and recess at this point. But some of the older kids, they got a lot of things that's going on. And like Sister Adrian was saying, with social media and everything, they're trying to compete with so many aspects. And they're just trying to make it through. A lot of them that are trying to be focused are having a hard time focusing. And it's because of everything that's going on around them. We all are in a state of, I would say, chaos right now for everybody. And that does not exclude the children that are in school. It's a lot going on that a lot of decisions being made that's going to impact their education. And different things like that. So I think everybody's just trying their best to make it the best way that they can.
I agree with that. I would say you often hear in schools the phrase, all behavior is a communication of a need. So they're communicating something. So for kids, when they are trying to survive, you'll see that manifested in the behaviors they're showing in the school. So I think if they're communicating with us or their emotions are, they're feeling the chaos that their families are feeling, then they are going to express that in their behavior. If they're feeling like some kids are a little more sheltered from it and they don't feel so much of the impact of it, so their behavior is going to be more of the desirable behaviors we want to see in school. But just knowing what the kids are dealing with. I think a lot of teachers do check-ins in the morning, especially for kids can have a tendency to go either way. So they'll check in with the kids and just see, like, how are you feeling today? See how their morning went, and that kind of gives you an idea of how the rest of the day is going to go. So I think for survival for the kids right now, they're going to show whatever they're kind of exposed to at the time. And if it's a lot of chaos they're exposed to, they're going to bring that with them to school. If it's a lot of reassurance, then they're going to feel more comfortable coming to school, and that helps with the teachers and everybody else with their job, and it prepares their mind for learning. If they're not kind of like in that survival brain where they're just trying to make it through.
That's true. I shouldn't discredit the littles because they do go through a lot of things, whatever's going on at their house. And you're right, it shows in their behavior. You can tell when something has changed because their behavior is off. But with them, it's a lot of crying, a lot of whining, a lot of aggression that you might see. So it's something going on that they can't process, and it's going on in their environment. So they do go through things as well. And they don't know what survival looks like. They don't know what that is. And so they just look for you to fix everything for them. And you have to, be aware and take each kid, see and evaluate what might be going on and give them what they need according to that.
Yeah, and I would say I agree. many kids are going through so much that you don't like, as teachers, people that's seen in the school, custodians, technicians, administrators, just they can't even see at home because what's at home could be something totally different. It's some crazy stuff you've seen on the news about some stuff that's evil. Not saying this is the case for everybody, but some crazy things going on at home. Many parents don't encourage their kids. Many parents, they tell their kids they're dumb. They tell their kids whatever. And when they come into the schools, they are defeated. They're like, his parents tell them some crazy things. And that's why it's important for each and every one of us that's playing this role. We're role models to that person. Even it's people that I see around school, and I'll be like, that kid's going through depression. I can see it. They're going through depression. I'll just be like, give me a high five or whatever like that. And they'll smile after that because that's all they need. And it makes me sad because a lot of times, let's say the parent isn't abusive or whatever, they're just not active in the child's life. Like they're I don't know, like a parent that's not active basically. And the kid comes to school and they're like the class clown, or they are trying to get attention because they don't ever get that from their mom. They don't get that from their dad. So people end up making fun of them, or teachers or everybody just look at them unruly. But really, that's a child screaming out for help, and it's just sad. I think that that's a part of survival too. They want to be seen. They want to be acknowledged. A lot of kids, it's not even really about being seen. They want to be acknowledged that they exist, and I think that's something that should be looked at, and even within teachers and people that work within the schools should really grasp that aspect of making these kids' presence felt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Making sure that they feel seen, that you're not just looking at the kids that do well in class and they have it all together, like we talked in the other episodes. Because they have it all together doesn't mean that you should treat somebody that doesn't have it all together differently.
And often in the classroom, the kids who are doing well are more overlooked than the ones who are showing these behaviors, because the behaviors could be so extreme that somebody has to intervene. Because if a kid is there and they're feeling upset, and this is not every day, this is not every kid, there's a small percentage of children. Right. So, I mean, I told you in our school, we've got 1,400 kids. There may be, I don't know, maybe 1% of them, maybe even less than that are showing extreme behaviors. But when they're extreme, they can be terrible, like from knocking bookshelves over to pushing the desk to hitting the teachers to doing things that are just very extreme. But those kids are the ones who are dealing with a lot of things emotionally. And, I think it's important for everybody to kind of just work together to support those kids, because it is tough for the teacher to deal with the student who's doing that, especially if it's every day. Every day the kid comes in and they come in ready to fight because the kid is in their survival brain. They're like fight or flight, and they're going to fight. Or they're going to flight, which is when they say, we've got an elopement, and then you got to go run around the school and try to find the kid. But and some of them are just doing the fighting in the classroom. They might come in and just hit different kids, and it's like, oh my goodness, like nobody wants this to happen. Like everybody sees it, nobody wants it to happen. The kid has to come to school. So, because everybody has a right to be in school. You can't just kick kids out of school. I mean, you can suspend them, but even that's limited, you know, you have to make sure you're supporting them. And I've seen where kids have come in and they've had all of these things going on, but then over time, with the right support, with the parents and everybody being on the same table, you got to treat it all in the school with the therapies we have available there. You got to seek treatment outside of the school. You got to pray with your kids. That's right. Parents got to be in there, working with the kids too, because sometimes the parents are at wit's end with the kid too, because they're like, hey, they do this at home. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. So they're like, well, good luck. It's your turn, Right. But I mean, a lot of times once we get the kids the right therapies, or we can get them in the right placement through whatever programs we have available, specialized programs. Maybe there's an emotional behavior support classroom the student needs to be in for a period of time, because it's not like a lifetime sentence. The kid might just need to get themselves regulated, and it might take them a year or two to get calmed down enough, because whatever they experienced was so traumatic that it caused this uptick in behavior. So it's just important for everybody just to collaborate and to know that everybody really is trying their best to support the kids, and for the parents and for the kids who are, on the receiving end or affected by the behaviors of the kids who are having those crises. We always feel terrible about that, because nobody sends their kid to school to get hurt. None of the teachers come to school to get hurt. None of the administrators come to get hurt. But I mean, in the school, like we have school resource officers, like school police. but they don't handle the kids. So when the kids are in the classroom and they're hitting and they're kicking and they're spitting and they're doing the things, just this 1%, I don't want schools to sound like they're terrible places, but just that small percentage, you take them out, you call an administrator, we go to a room that is safe for the kid without the furniture, and that kid might be coming just at the administrator over until they get exhausted. And we just kind of response block and try to keep ourselves as protected as possible. And if we feel like we're getting emotional, we tap out and be like, hey, somebody else come get it. It's your turn for a beating. Your turn. So you kind of switch out. But like I said, that's not every day, but it's so important just to make sure that everybody can communicate openly about what's actually happened. I don't ever try to sugarcoat what's happened. I'm like, look, I went in the room, this is what I saw, and this is what, like you see these bruises, your kid did this, and sometimes that makes the parents really upset, sometimes it makes them defensive, but as soon as we can get past that and just say, what is our plan to help support the kid, the better it's going to be, because these kids are not going to stay that way forever.
Y'all said that's really, really good. I don't even know what to add to it, but
everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna add the next. I can do the next question. So, I feel like this is a good segue for students who feel lost, unmotivated, or overlooked. What would you say to them directly?
That you're not alone. You have to, you have to let them know that they have somebody. And a lot of times the teachers serve as that somebody. You have to be willing to listen. You have to give them that individual attention when they need it. Some kids really need it. And you have to, be cognizant of that fact that some kids really need that special one-on-one. So you have to kind of plan time in your day and let them know, like, you matter. And me, I am Jesus to the core, and I don't care about all the rules that's out there about classrooms. And, I'm going to preach Jesus to my children, and I'm going to show the love of Christ. And I'm going to tell them that they have a God that loves them. And sometimes the kids might not, that's not something that they practice at home, but I'm going to give them the God that I have in me, because I can't do anything. I can't say the right things to any kid that's overlooked or that needs it unless I listen to the Holy Spirit and let him tell me, because the Holy Spirit will tell you what the child needs if you listen to it. And so I try my very best to let them know the opposite of everything that they're feeling. You are important, even though they're little. Sometimes you'd be so surprised the things that I hear from my little kids, 4 and 5 years old, and you're like, man, somebody said that to you? And it's somebody that's supposed to protect them and love them, but they're telling them the opposite. And so I'm there to reiterate that they are loved, that God loves them, and that I love them, and I'm glad to see them. Every day I tell my kids, I'm glad to see you. And even if they had a bad, or I want to say bad, or they had a challenging day before. I have one kid, he has a challenging day every day. It's every day. And he'll come in and he'll say, am I in trouble because I didn't behave yesterday? And I say, no, today's a new day. You get a brand new day of grace. And I tell him, God gives us grace, and I'm going to give you some too. And we go on about our day. And those are the little nuggets that they need that can help them throughout the day. And you never know what they'll internalize, and it can help them throughout the rest of their lives. So we as Christian teachers have to be cognizant of giving them Christ where we can without, shaking up the foundation, because that's a big issue. But we can still give them the love of Christ and let them know that Christ exists and he loves them, and there's always going to be somebody that cares about them. And so you got to find special ways to do that for each child that needs it.
Yeah, and I love that you're open about sharing that with the kids, because that makes a difference. They'll see that it's something behind them. I do try to express that without saying anything in regards to religion, even like whether it's a staff member, whether it's a kid, but I just know, like, in my heart, like, if there's a kid and there's a challenging situation, like the room I was talking about where kids are really exhibiting, aggressive behaviors, like I pray before I go in there. Like, nobody sees me praying. I don't go in there and be like, I'm praying for you. But no, I just go in there and, before I even go in, like, Lord, you know what I need. You know what this kid needs. Most importantly, you know what this kid needs. And, God will give you the patience you need to deal with all the things. But as far as like assuring the children, I think, one common phrase that I'll say, and a lot of people on my team will see the kids and will tell them, look, you're safe. Just letting them know you are safe. We love you. Like, we want the best for you. And it's not like a parent's love, but it's just like a general love. Like, you are a child. You are a child of God. I don't say that to them, but because you are a child that God created, I love you, you know. So I love you. You are safe, you know. And just sometimes just hearing, you see their shoulders kind of go down. And then they might start crying. And even big kids, they might just start crying because they're like, you know, like they think you're about to come scream at them because the teachers will say, I'm going to call an administrator. So I'll go and I'm like, big bad guy. I'm not the big bad guy. So I go in the room and then the kid is like, I might give them a look, and then they look and then they're like, are you going to say something crazy or not? And I'll be like, come. I'll be like, look, you're safe. I love you. Tell me about what's going on. And then they'll say their spiel, and they might be okay for a little while, and then they might show up and do all the crazy things again. But in that moment, you let them know, like, look, you still are safe. You still are loved, and we're going to keep, you know, seeing you day after day, year after year, until you move on out of here. And some of them come back, and they share their stories, and you're like, wow, look at you. You know, you're so surprised when they come back. Or like now that I'm not in the classroom anymore, and I'll see the kids year after year, and I know where they came in at kindergarten. I'm like, look at you. Like, really, look at you. Like, how did you get here? But it's all the support. So just reminding them they are loved, they are safe, they are cared for.
That's right.
Yeah. I like what both of y'all said, because we really need that in school. Because I've know, even personally, just growing up as a student, you always remember the ones that spoke life into you, and you always remember the ones that didn't. Yeah. And
Sure do.
it was this, I'm not going to tell too much personal stories, but basically, hypothetically speaking, or just saying like a scenario, like let's say it's a teacher, and you're someone that has, like you preach this whole thing, I have favorites. You have favorite teachers, so you treat people differently just because, I don't know what the case is. So let's say I was growing up, and then I experienced a teacher that didn't like me just because, you know, the color of my skin or whatever. You always remember that. And it really does a lot for kids, because if they're at home, let's say that they're at home, they don't have supportive parents, and then they come to school and the teacher says, you just play around too much, you just do this, that, and the other, what are you even here for, or whatever like that. I mean, everybody's had that professor, that teacher, whoever it might be. We talking about the K through 12 a little bit. Professors, it was a professor I had, it's like, you're gonna come through here, and most of y'all not gonna pass. You know, most of y'all, and I intended to be that way. He did college algebra. He's like, most of y'all see in here, you're gonna probably fail. But I passed that class, but I remember that he didn't motivate me. He only tried to discourage me. And it's funny now, but it's really not something that is good, even as people that are in education on each level. Don't discourage your students, because everybody deserves encouragement. Everybody deserves to be treated well. I don't care if this person is a bully. I don't care what this person is. Everybody deserves a right to be respected.
That's right.
And that's how we should treat everyone. And even if someone treats you wrong, like, I'm a believer, you turn the other cheek. Because they treated you wrong don't mean that you should go ahead and be like, they don't deserve my acknowledgement. They don't deserve me to actually give them those tidbits of knowledge. Like some teachers I'm not going to say that, but sometimes people can underteach because they already have a certain opinion about a student. But everybody deserves fairness, because it'll be a time where somebody used to be a bad kid, and all of a sudden they grew up to be a beautiful person, and they have a beautiful spirit. I've known many people that, even my peers growing up, they grew up and they was like, yeah, this kid, he's going to have some problems. He's doing some crazy things. They grew up, and now it's like, they're speaking life into people. They're helping people. They're pouring into people. They're teachers themselves. Yeah. They went from somebody that's like, I'd never be a teacher. I hate teachers. I hate this. I hate school. And then they grow up and they become a principal. You know what I'm saying? And then they're great at their job, but that's how God builds people. Sometimes, like we were talking about the other week, sometimes you, as a kid, you have a certain idea of what you want to do. You get into your teen years and it gets kind of different. Then you get to be an adult. God used those teen years or whatever segment to humble you into where you're really supposed to be. And a lot of times that's why us as people that work in schools, we're there to support and to, like you said, to just be there for the kids and everything like that, and for the people in the school, to show that we care about each other. It's a community, and you're not there to say one is better than the other or anything like that. So I like what y'all added to that segment.
That was wow. I feel like y'all summing up a lot. So yeah, that's good. I just want to say for students that feel like nobody cares about you, that there is somebody that cares for you, and whoever that teacher is for you, go say hi to them. Go to them. Like you have, you are safe, like you were saying, and you do matter. I had something else I was gonna say, but I'm like blanking on it. Okay, I know. I remember somewhat of what I was gonna say. So, even when you're getting attention, like let's say your teacher is on you, or you feel like, why is this teacher always saying that I'm doing this and doing that? That teacher cares about you. They want, just because they're getting on you doesn't mean that they don't like you. Every time they're redirecting you doesn't mean that they can't stand you. It's because they do care. So take that in and see what you could do to change it up. And also for teachers, we have to assess ourselves too, because we can get to a point to where we do care so much, and it's like almost like, okay, maybe I am getting on them too much. Let me shift it. Maybe go another route. What can I do? Give them an incentive or something like that and give them more encouragement instead of just always redirecting them. So something I will do, for example, if I see a student keep hitting another student, all right, I told you to stop. Or my first response, I'll be like, hey, and then, right, and I'll tell them to come here, and they're like, huh, and I'll have them sit next to me, and then we'll have a conversation. And I'm like, why'd you do that? I don't know why I did that. And I'm like,
That's always
yeah. And then, then when you can see, like y'all said, they'll relax. I'll be like, hey, you don't have to do this. Like, I'm not even mad at you. When they see I'm not mad at them, I just want them to do better. They're like, and I say, you can go play. They're like, I can go play? Yes, just don't attack people. This is not football. So, yeah, just take that time out to encourage them and love on them.
I got two more questions I want us to cover in this episode. So one is, what are some things parents can do over the summer to keep their student engaged? So just go ahead and tell them.
All right. I think you want to do some academic things, but I think if you can frame it through the things you already have planned for the summer, that's always helpful. Give them as many experiences as you can, and they don't require a lot of money. You can take them to the library. You can visit a park, go, don't say park one more time. That's inside of a rock stone. But you can take them to the park, and you can just notice the different type of trees. You can notice the different animals. You can notice different things there. Ask them questions. Try to get it connected to things they may have learned in science. What have they learned about life cycles and things like that, just whatever you see in the park. You could, if you're traveling somewhere, that's always good, giving them additional opportunities to see different places. And then maybe they can read a book related to that. And all of the experiences that you allow the children to have in the summer, it helps when they are reading text to be able to really apply what they are seeing in real life to what they are learning in school, and it helps all of it to process together. So you do want to continue on the academics, make sure they are reading, make sure they are writing, because I know in the other episode I had a thought about COVID and just kids. I've noticed a big shift in their fine motor, their ability to even write properly, because a lot of kids are writing in all capital letters, and they'll continue to do that even still. Like if their parents taught them, because they were home and they taught them to write in capital letters, then the kids they'll be in third grade now, still writing in all capital letters, and it's like you're not screaming at somebody. Like if you're writing in all caps, you are screaming. Like stop it. You have to make sure you're using proper sentence formation, all that kind of stuff. So let them, have their experiences, write about them, practice their math facts, addition, subtraction, multiplication. You can't do that enough because schools, just to be honest, they're not really focused on rote memorization. They want kids to understand the concepts more than just the rote memorization. So if your kid can know those facts right off the bat, addition, subtraction, and multiplication, they're going to be ahead of everybody, because that is just something that schools don't spend a whole lot of time on anymore.
Oh, that was good, all of that. Yeah, that covered it. I would just say, just like she said, stay active. It's so many things academically you could learn just being outside. It doesn't have to be inside on a tablet. You could be outside, and there's so much academics outside while you're just out there playing and exploring. So do that. And I know when I was growing up, my aunt, they were big on education, and it was fun for us. It's fun. When I think back now, it's fun now. But back then, I was like, why we got to do that? But she used to give us a book and say, read it and do a book report. And she would pay us. So kids always try to make money, especially the bigger kids. So I say, hey, give them a book. It don't have to be a long book, something short. Let them write a report on it. So that's covering reading, that's covering writing, and give them a little, incentive by adding a little bit of money to it. My aunt used to also make homemade biscuits, and while she's kneading the dough and doing all of that, she would have us read to her. And every page we read, she would give us $1 for it. And so we would love to sit there and just read while she was doing it because we knew we was getting money. Yeah, we get a biscuit afterwards. So little things like that. It doesn't have to be expensive. Kids don't need a whole lot of money, but that's encouraging. They're like, can I read a book? Because they know they're going to get something from it. So little things like that. And all the things she said, they know. The administrators, they see it. They see the numbers. They see, where the need is. So definitely all those things, and just being outside a little bit more together as a family. It's always educational for kids. So that's it.
It's good. I'm hearing don't allow them to enjoy their summer, but add to it. Y'all are saying that, so that's good. Make it fun.
Make it fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I really agree with what both of y'all said. And y'all take that advice. I'm telling you, add some structure to the summer. Don't just depend on teachers like y'all was talking about the others. Don't just depend on teachers to do it all, but actually take that time with your kid and make that a bonding moment where they remember. I remember the times my parents took that time aside and said, let's learn this, let's do this. Like in the summer, my mom would be like, let's go to a science museum or something like that. And ultimately, I was like, I want to go to school. I want to go to college and do something within science, even though I did something totally different. But it inspired me to take part in further education. And I think that a lot of what parents can do is just inspire your children to value education. But education is a gift, and if you tell your kids that if you don't value their education, they're not going to value it for themselves. So you have to do things to spark that interest. Like my mom, we was in the car when I was a kid, and she would put on, I was very little, like maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. She would just put on stuff like Leapfrog, the cartoons. And at first I was like, oh, here we go. But I'm telling you, to this day, I started to enjoy it. And then it started to make me value my education. And the older I got, I'm like, I value being an educated individual. I like knowing how to do things for myself and how to excel and be smart. I like being smart. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you should.
So just inspire your kids to do that.
Don't forget when I was mentioning free things, I talked about the parks, but they have free bowling a lot of times.
Yeah.
You can get a pass a day. They have free movies. They have some certain days museums have a free day. So while the kids are out, if you're off from work, because I know a lot of parents, they're not off in summer. But if you happen to take a day off, you can do the free museum days. So just check your local museum for things like that. And what else? What else do we know of that's free?
You can get free. I don't know if they still do free tickets to the zoo.
Well, you know
If you
what? The
watch the
library.
videos.
The library. If you check out their zoo video, you do the video when you read the book, and then they'll give you free tickets if you turn it in. But go to your local library. They will
Have a
tell you
lot of
all of the
resources.
resources for everything that's free
Yeah.
for the summer.
And you can go, let's say you live in Lawrenceville, you can go online and look and see what activities they have for the month that are free, because they do a lot of free things in downtown Lawrenceville on the lawn. Yeah, you can, if you are brave enough to go to the Atlanta, you can. You can look
Shout out
they
to
have
Atlanta.
they got plenty of stuff. I'm kidding. Atlanta's fun during the daytime. So when you go,
That part.
The free gyms for the older kids too. They have free gym memberships in the summer.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
good.
let's
wait,
go
don't
to
tell
them.
them.
That's definitely good to know.
So
Yeah.
free gym memberships, but as you can see, the more you look, the more it's offered, and even stuff that is not free, it might be stuff that's $10, might be something that's $5. who knows? It might be something that you might want to spend a little bit extra money. It's nothing wrong with spending a little money on education. It's going to take them a long way. If you got to take them, like my sister did a program one of these summers. It was like a 2-week program at Emory. It cost a little bit, but that really pushed her further in her education. So even free things are great. That's great, but we live in 2026 and very limited things are free. So if you have it and you want to invest in your kids, it's nothing better to invest than their education or them spiritually too. So
Absolutely.
it's spiritual education. Go to Vacation Bible School.
Take 'em to
Go
church.
to church.
Take 'em to church.
The churches offer a lot of stuff for children during the summers that's free. If you take part in different camps or something like that, they'll take them down to the aquarium as a church event. They'll take them down to Martin Luther King or whatever. We offer that here at the Rockstone Church. Many things during the summer educational events. We have more things coming up as far as we did Toastmasters here at the church. I didn't have to pay a dime for that. Toastmasters, and that really helped me and all that type of stuff.
Public speaking, yeah.
Public speaking. And just go to your local churches and you'll be surprised how many resources you have within there, and even people within the church that are educators that are teaching your Sunday school, teaching discipleship class. And we're not teaching it just because we're like, oh, we've been in church all our life and we just do this because all we know is Bible. We know Bible, but we also know the books as well. So we have the resources as well here in the churches. So just do those things as well. But last question, what is some advice you have for those who are considering teaching or becoming an educator?
I think if you have a heart for it, you believe you have a heart for it, do it. And a lot of times people say, well, you're not going to be paid that much. But remember, you're working 10 months out of the year. So if your salary is a little less than your counterparts, remember, you're working 10 months. So your salary should be less because you work less months. And if you think about also every break you have, you're off. Like all the breaks you got as a kid, you continue to have those as a teacher. But most importantly, if your heart is in it, pray about it, seek wisdom from the Lord. If that's where you feel led that you need to be, especially as believers. We can't have enough believers in schools. So go ahead and join the field. Everybody will be happy to have you. Even if you did it for 5 years, it'll be worthwhile. Whatever time you can put in, it'll be good. Consider it a public service. Get some of your loans forgiven, but I think you got to stay 10 years for that part. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree. If you definitely have to have the heart. It's not a field just to go into because it's hard. I mean, it's not easy being a teacher. It's rewarding. You have those rewarding things. Like when you say you see the kids and look at you now, those moments are priceless. So if you're looking for a field that has a lot of rewards in it, you can make a difference in a lot of lives. That's something that you definitely should do, and we do need more believers that's going to speak life into these children because these kids are the future. And if you want a good future, you got to start in the schools and speak life into them. So you definitely have to have the passion for it. And also, another thing that's a big thing is you just can't, like you said, focus on the money aspect. You got to focus on the need of the children that you are servicing. And it is definitely teachers, they get burnt out, but they keep coming back because it's rewarding, and it's a special job. It takes a special person to be a teacher in all levels of whatever you teach. It takes a special person. So if you have the heart, you feel like it's a calling, then go for it and let God lead you in everything that you do inside the classroom because you are shaping lives and precious lives are in your hand, and that's important. So definitely, and those breaks are golden. You cannot beat that. So that's definitely another perk of being a teacher. So have the heart and go for it.
I would say if you're debating, something that I did, I shadowed, actually, when my mom was a teacher, I shadowed at her school, and I went to the PE teacher, and I just hung around her, and I asked her a billion questions, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to be a physical therapist. I wasn't doing well in that anyway, and then as soon as I switched, I had all A's and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, God, this is okay. It makes sense. I understand. So I would say shadow. Think about what grade level you want to teach, and they'll let you come in there and shadow for a day or a couple days, and then pray about it, and the Lord will direct your steps for sure. And let's say at first it doesn't, like your first 2 years or your first year, you're like, oh, this is, I didn't know about ELL, and I didn't know about, what's the other one y'all be doing? The something with reading. I don't know. I don't even know. Anyway, but that is a lot. It's a lot. You're like, I didn't know I had to do all of this. I would say give it time, because you don't know, like over time, it could become easier for you. It will become easier. And if this is really where you're supposed to be in education, the Lord is going to equip you. So,
That's right.
yeah, I think I should stop talking now.
And know,
Yeah.
one other thing is know your grade level. Know what your passion is. What age group is your passion? I'm telling you, if you are in the age group that you are really passionate about, you will excel. And yes, you'll still go through all the things, but it won't feel as bad if you're in the grade that you are most comfortable with. Sometimes you'll see teachers, they're teaching third grade and they are really kindergarten teachers. Like third grade is not your grade.
Fifth grade or fourth grade. Why are you there?
I shout out to every middle school teacher alive, because it takes special people to teach middle school. So you can't be an elementary type mindset teacher and teach middle school. So you have to know your grade so that don't add to your stress level and your burnout. So know your grade level, know your passion level, and go with that. And I'm telling you, it makes a big difference for you.
I was going to say real quick, and you don't have to stay there. You know, she teaches in pre-K, he's in IT, I'm a PE teacher, she's an administrator. And honestly, if we did the coursework, because we already went and got our degrees, we can test into some things or go back to school for a little bit, because you already did the hard part. So at any moment, he could be like, you know what? I want to teach high school PE. I don't think he's ever going to do that. But if he did, or if he's like, you know what? I want to be an administrator. If you're like, hey, I want to own a school.
Right.
She can be like, all right, well, now let me go ahead and maneuver into that.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would just say y'all do it from the teaching aspect, giving people that advice. But I would just say, take advice. Take advice from others. Like she was saying, shadow. Sometimes you have an idea of what you want to do in a career, and then you start getting closer to that career, and it's not it. For instance, I was trying to go into being an attorney. I could still potentially go to law school one day, but really, the closer I got to it, I graduated, and I was like, I don't know if that's where my heart is, because I want to be in no career, my heart's not in it. So I decided, I was like, what do I want to do? I started taking advice from people. I got some advisors as far as this whole IT security aspect of things. I started watching how you actually do it hands-on. I was like, I would love doing this. I started doing it, and that's how you know God gets in it, because he starts opening up doors and making ways. And I like what I do. I'll say, just for anybody trying to move into the education aspect or just even the IT aspect of things, just take advice, use your connections well, and really grasp the whole learning about yourself as far as what do I want to do, because you don't want to be in a career that you don't love, because ultimately it's going to affect the people around you. If you're a teacher and you hate teaching, you hate kids, you don't like dealing with people, maybe you shouldn't be a teacher. I mean, but yeah, please don't, because we don't want teachers in there that's just in it just because. But if you have a passion where you're like, my heart is for teaching and furthering people's education, inspiring and doing all those things, by all means, explore it. Sometimes you might like teaching, like you said, shadow another teacher, talk to other teachers that you might know, see how they like it, see if they think that you have that in you really. And you might like teaching, but like she was saying, know your level. You might say, okay, I want to do elementary school. You get in elementary school, you're like, okay, they're a little too kiddie for me, you know what I'm saying? And then I want to teach a higher grade level. You get into high school, and then all of a sudden you're like, let me explore being a professor or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Let me explore those options. Just take advice and always be open to other people's, I'm not saying opinions, but other people's little tidbits, because they can really give you some good advice to get you to the place that you really would be. Because if I closed off everybody and just say my voice is the only one I want to hear, then I would not be where I'm at today. So just make sure that your voice ain't the only one that you're listening to. Even though your heart, you do whatever your heart's desire is. But at the same time, take advice, and it's not bad to listen to others as well. Be teachable. You can't be a teacher and not be teachable. Like we have many people that's in careers, and they don't even want to listen to their own advice or whatever. So you got, yeah. So you got to know what, you got to know your realm. You got to know your realm, and just be willing to be a student in life. Be a student in life, you'll go far. But thank y'all for tuning in for the podcast this week. We hope y'all enjoy it, and we hope that y'all come back for another episode. We got some great things in store for y'all in the future. Make sure you like, tag, subscribe to this channel, turn on post notifications if you haven't already, and follow me at Christian Kennedy on Instagram _Monty, brother _Bird, Impact Podcast Show, post notifications on Rockstone Church on Instagram, and subscribe to Rockstone Church. You want to give one more shout out to your brand before we get out of here?
Check it out. We Impress Creations, and I think it's being linked on the screen. So check us out.
Yep. So make sure you do all those things. Thank you all for coming on this 2-part series about what's going on in these schools and how do we survive this. This is a survivor series, and I'm telling y'all, students, you will survive. Teachers, you will survive. Administration, IT, whatever you do, even people that works something totally away from education, you will survive. That's what the whole highlight of the season. And yeah, be impactful in each and every life that you impact in, I guess, and have a great day.